Challenger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday, the 7th of May, 2025, and it is time for episode 54, if you can believe it, of Manager's Weekly Ramble. Thank you all for being here. I'm in a wonderful mood. I don't know if I'm always in a wonderful mood when I record these. When am I am I funnier when I'm in a bad mood or a good mood? You let me know. I don't know. I guess a good mood I guess it depends, doesn't it? Some comedians are funny because they are cynical and comedically, hilariously miserable. I guess my comedy tends to come from, I guess you're kind of laughing at the stupidity of my joyfulness. Anyway, the point is we're in a great mood and we're going to have lots of fun. We're going to have lots of fun thanks to all of you because you have sent some of the best questions I think I've ever received for an episode of Manager's Weekly Ramble. It's taken 54 episodes and finally you're pulling your weight, dear listeners. Finally, you've pulled your finger out of wherever you've got your finger and you're going to be giving me good questions. They're always great and I appreciate them always. Thank you. I'm going to, what shall I do first? Shall I do the questions? Yesterday, obviously, there was the big, I'm falling into the trap of almost immediately going into politics. Well, I guess yesterday there was a big meeting between two people, and one of those people, our person, made the point that Canada is not for sale and never will be for sale. And that's really all that needs to be said about that. I did like his line, which he said to the other person, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale, to which the other person replied, that's true. Although I don't believe that that person actually believes that. I don't believe that if you've seen that great movie that was, people tried to have it buried with Sebastian Stan playing the person. You see that he doesn't believe in taking no for an answer, and I don't think he actually believes that anything is not for sale. I think he thinks that everything is for sale. Anyway, the meeting went well, and certainly went better than meetings with the previous Prime Minister, which was a good thing that I guess that Melania wasn't making eyes at Mr. Carney like she was our previous person. Because that's kind of what started this whole thing, in my opinion. Anyway, that's what happened yesterday. Oh, I didn't talk about the election, but I will say this, and I want to steer clear of politics because we're here to have fun and we've got your lovely questions to get to. But I will say this, the morning after the election, the Canadian election, of course, what else? I was at the YMCA, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who, and again, there's sometimes a bit of chat at the YMCA, sometimes there's no chat, we're all focused, we're getting... By the way, I think partly why I'm in such a good mood is I have just come from the YMCA. I've done my usual, my 20 lengths, my 200 calories in the ski machine and 200 sit-ups, like that's my thing. But then the exact... they say you're supposed to mix things up and you've got to shock the body and you've got to surprise it. But I've never done... partly why I don't see any results is I've been doing the exact same thing for about 6 years. 6 years, the exact same... I'm a complete, as you know, complete creature of habit / psychopathic, what's the word, that I am, where you believe superstitious. I just do the same things. I make the same mistakes in life and I do the same things. Anyway, what's my point? I think that's why I'm in a good mood. I had great trip to the YMCA, and I will say, nothing makes me happier than when I'm at the YMCA and someone comes up and says, "Oh, I'm literally listening to your podcast right now." But then, of course, I'm distracted because I'm just watching to see if they laugh or if they're rolling their eyes because I keep getting distracted by things and keep banging on about irrelevant things like this. So my point was, yes, the morning after the election, people kept coming to me and saying, "Oh, so what do you think?" Or what do you think? What do you think? And it's such a funny thing to us because, again, as I understand it, we're not supposed to discuss, obviously, politics, sex, or religion. Granted, I do tend to discuss all three at length in some detail, both on stage and on this podcast. But what a strange question to ask, or what a challenging question to ask, where someone comes up and says, "So what do you think?" And it's like, well, whatever I say, I've got a 50% chance of really upsetting you. So are you asking me how I voted? Is that it? Did this happen to you? Let me know. Did this happen to you where people came up to you the day after the election and said, so what do you think? So basically, I came up with an answer in the pool. My friend David was one of the first. No, someone asked me in the changing room. So it's always difficult to be quick on your toes when you are. You got your bits out and you're looking at someone else's bits. You're not looking deliberately. You're just aware that they're there. And someone asked, "What do you think of yesterday?" And I don't know. I talking politics with your bits out is feels like the kind of thing that goes down in the legislature. No offense, anyone who works in the legislature. No, they're not listening to this, are they? What's my point? My point is, yes. So I came up with an answer. So my friend David asked me in the pool. He said, "What do you think about the result?" And I came up with this. I'm not normally quick on my feet in real life or on stage. Possibly, you might be thinking. Anyway, I said, "Oh, well, 50%, half the country's happy and half the country's not happy." Is that what I said? Something. It was better than that, but it was something along those lines. It was like, well, half the country's over the moon and half the country's mad as hell. Because what else am I going to say? Am I going to say that I'm happy with the result and then he knows how I voted and then maybe wants to shout at me because the Liberals have done this? Or if I'd said, it's a shame, then either... Wait, you got my point. It's a funny thing for people to ask for your opinion on how the election went. So anyway, we move on from that. We got all your questions. Last week, you know what? I think partly why I'm in such a great mood is I've had a couple of days off gigs. I've just had such a wonderful weekend actually. On Monday I was at Dramafest in Fredericton. I've never been before. Did you know about Dramafest? Basically, it's all the schools in New Brunswick kind of bring their plays to this thing called Dramafest, obviously, and there's there's judges who are really prestigious, esteemed people that work in theatre and TV and film, often with a connection to New Brunswick, but in many cases have kind of moved away and they're very successful in Toronto or on Broadway or whatever else, and they come back to kind of and all the kids from the schools go and put their shows on. So anyway, my son River was playing a guard number 1 in Frozen Junior, the musical, at the weekend. Now, my oldest son, Hunter, only did one, he probably did other smaller plays when younger, but did one school play, which was Matilda Junior, which I love Matilda, obviously the book, the film, the musical, the play. We actually went to see the musical in London with his beloved Auntie Kyla and our dear friend, my wife's oldest friend, Kyla Lingley. Those of you that may have seen her perform live, world-class opera singer from the Granby, Westfield area, and now lives in London with her amazing husband, Richard. And I'm actually going to see them in a few weeks. Some of you may know, I'm going back to England to do a pilgrimage to Blackpool to see the very first comedian I ever saw as a child. He is now 80, and it is a pilgrimage / I need to find an ending for my new book, and this felt like actually there's a few pieces that come together. Like when I was sent up to boarding school at age 11, the first weekend that I was gone, my parents went to. I've never been to Blackpool. It's the Vegas of the North. If Vegas is overrun with drug gangs and sex traffickers, which it is, let's face it. But basically, if you can imagine gangsters and sex trafficking rings and drug dealers, but not in the kind of glamorous way, in the kind of whatever you've seen in British gangland. Imagine a Coronation Street version of Vegas. That's what Blackpool is. Anyway, so I'm going there. So my parents went there with my brother the first weekend I was away, and my mum told me recently how someone had said to her, "Oh, you should keep this quiet because it could look bad that like the second you get rid of James, your naughtiest of all children, of both your children, the naughtiest one, you get rid of him, and then you take the youngest to Blackpool for the weekend. And my mum hadn't really thought of it like that, but then was worried. So anyway, I've never been, so now I'm going. So, and it's going to make a wonderful final chapter for my second book. I hope it's going to be an adventure. Meeting up with some old friends there. Actually, my friend Paul Field, who is from England. He's the gentleman that got me into Crystal Palace. He now lives in Serbia. Actually owns one of the best record shops in Serbia. Also has a highly acclaimed and award-winning podcast called I should get it up, Balkans Vinyl. Follow him on Instagram. Check out his podcast. If you want the details, message me. I'll send it to you. I'll get to all the questions in a minute. Speaking of naughtiness, some of you may have seen something I posted on Facebook yesterday, which was a thing I had written. Where is it? It's here. A thing I had written as a child about the naughtiest thing I ever did as a child, which was and interestingly, it turns out Caitlin Dean did the exact same thing in Pembroke, Ontario. This is my earliest memory, that according to this book. Once upon a time, my mum took me to Marks and Spencer's for the first time. I suddenly looked to this is how I wrote it, by the way, age maybe 8 or 9, I would guess. Once upon a time, my mum took me to Marks and Spencer's for the first time. I suddenly looked to the right and I saw a moving stairway. I asked my mum if I could go and see it. There was a red button at the bottom of the moving stairway. I wonder what it does, I thought to myself. I walked to the red button. I queried over it for some time. Interesting. I queried over it for some time. At last I decided I would go and press the button. I pressed it suddenly. A big alarm went off. Lots of the people who work in Marks and Spencer's came running. I write how I talk without pauses. Not only the alarm went off, but the moving stairway stopped. After all this hassle, the moving stairway was working fine. My mum told me off as we went out. And the teacher has commented, my teacher at junior school has put, I'm not surprised you were told off, James. As you will see on Facebook, the picture that accompanied it is actually a woman standing, holding a Marks and Spencer's bag, smoking a cigarette weirdly, wearing what I can only describe as bondage gear, fishnet stockings, and a black leather top, and she appears to be naked under it, if you can believe that. I've just realised. Go on to my Facebook page and look at it, if you're not on the Facebook, send me a message. So that's what was apparently, but the part of the story I think I've missed out when writing this for my teacher, and mum, if you're listening to this, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe my mum pulled down my trousers and pants, or underpants as you would call them here, and spanked my bottom, which was a normal thing to do in the 80s, obviously. Like, if your children were naughty, you would pull down their trousers and get all of their bits out, and then you would spank them. And I believe my mum, when she tells the story, that I was shouting, as she was doing this, I was shouting, arrest this woman, arrest this woman. Apparently that was a trick I used to pull whenever my mum would spank my bottom in public. I would shout, arrest this woman. I wasn't sure if I was pretending I didn't know her, if I was trying to get her. My parents always said the child line was the worst thing that happened to parenting, because every time you tried to discipline your children, they would say, well, I'm going to phone child line, which was like a line for troubled children. Anyway, how do I get onto all this? Goodness only knows. This is I'm not joking when I tell you I can't afford therapy. This is what this is. So I just had a great week. I'm off to Halifax tomorrow for a gig at the Marriott. It's a big corporate gig for a wonderful organisation, CBCL. It's actually over 400 of them, actually 450 of them from across Atlantic Canada, all coming for this big conference. And I'm hosting the big dinner and awards on Friday night, which is going to be super fun. I love a gig. We're working very closely with my friend Amy, who is from CBCL, to make it a special event. So after my mad run of gigs, I then had a couple of days off I say a couple of days off. I had a couple of days off gigging. I had, I think I had like 7 nights on the trot, and then, what I didn't talk about last week was last Monday I did the Smile Cookie. You know the Smile Cookie initiative for Tim Hortons, where they support local charities? Well, every year I appear for a Smile Cookie decorating contest at the Tim Hortons in Milledgeville. One of my favourite Tim Hortons is because it's by the Shediacs, so I can often meet my father-in-law there, also near the St. John Regional Hospital, which, as you know, I love. And interestingly, the Smile Cookie the wonderful Murphy family were giving all of the money raised from Smile Cookie to all kinds of organisations that I have so much respect and admiration for. NB Pediatrics, I believe. I know Sophia Recovery Centre have been supported, and of course the St John Regional Hospital Foundation. So Murphy family do so much, and it's always lovely to see Barb and Daniel. What's my point? Yes, anyway, that was last Monday. It was super, super fun, and do that every year. That was obviously straight after that Mad Runner gigs, but wasn't going to miss it for anything. Then one day, Andrew did Andrew Butters' podcast the following day. Also popped into. When did I pop into St John High? I popped into St John High a few times last week. Had a lovely chat with some grade 9 students who are doing a leadership course. Chatted with them about going off to university and their future and travel, and amazingly inspiring group of kids with big plans, and everyone kind of knew exactly what they wanted to do, where they're going to university, where they want to go and live to work, and all with the view, very interestingly, the view of kind of ultimately one day coming back to St John, which, as we know, is the greatest thing people can do. Like, graduate, go and travel, come back with life experience and skills, and settle in this beautiful place. What's my point? Yes, I was going to be a Dramafest on Monday. So yeah, I was obviously supposed to be in Maine at the weekend. As we know, that didn't happen for various reasons. Main one being I was advised not to by the venue manager who drove to the border to check with the border guards. That was the long and short of it. Not going to make anything political. I know some articles that you may have read online tried to politicize it, and possibly some of my jokes that I said in the interview that was actually about something else didn't translate to the written word, something I didn't know was going to happen. Anyway, the bonus of all this was I got to be around for Rivers musicals. My son Hunter, I think I started to say this, my son Hunter played Bruce Bogtrotter in Matilda, but then didn't do another school play. And I think I went to see it once or twice, but he wouldn't let me go to Dramafest to watch the performance. But this time around, I thought, I'm not missing this. So I went to all 3 performances of Matilda Junior at the weekend. Saw lots of lovely people. Darren from YSJ, lovely Connie. It was nice to see you there, Connie. I just saw so many nice people. And I saw lovely Jennifer Esty, one of the nice to meet her parents too. Obviously good friends with Jacqueline Esty, her sister, but obviously big fan of her of Jennifer's art. And of course, you all know about the Esty Art Initiative, which is where kids do after school painting and creating, and then those paintings go up in places. Something which, again, one of the 2 of the things that excited me most was when Rivers painting was up at Tandy uptown, and Hunter had a painting up at RBC in Quispamsis or Rossay. No one knows which one it's in. What's my point? Yes, I went to see Frozen. Now I love Frozen. Anyway, the movie, I remember when it came out. Went to see it with Hunter. Went to see it with Hunter a couple of times when he must have been 2 or 3. It was shortly before we moved here. Also was obsessed with it in the office at GQ. Me and Lucy and Georgie and Kai and the girls I work with, we would listen to the Frozen soundtrack all the time. So I love Frozen. Obviously love my sons, and so the fact he was in Frozen Junior was just so exciting. So I went to see all 3 performances at the weekend, and then Monday this week I drove to Fredericton because again I'm determined to make the use of this time. As you know, I think this is my kind of strategy now, is I think long and hard now about road gigs. My kids, people say it goes so fast, and you've got, you don't believe it when you're changing shitty diapers, and you don't really believe it. And then suddenly they're in their teens, and you're like, whoa. Well, Hunter's in his teens, Rivers 11. But the time is really going fast. So now it's kind of like, do I want to be away for weekends? So obviously, I guess it's maybe very, very selective. I figure that in 5-6 years, or 7 years when they go to university, then I can hit the road hard. Be on the road for weeks at a time. But right now it's interesting, like the last couple of weeks, the amount of must have turned down 80% of the gigs. And of course, it's one of those things where you work out, obviously, well-paying corporate gigs need to be done to pay the bills. Then there's the other priority, which is having fun. So, for example, in the beginning of August, I'm going to be doing a gig in St. Peter's Bay in PEI for a Down Home festival that's there. It's fun. It's a drive. It's a night. But I've had so many offers for really, really nice, fun-sounding gigs in BC and Alberta. But I just don't want to be away and I'm just trying to remind myself of this, because obviously when these things are a month away, I'm often go, I want to do that, I always want to play that theatre, I always want to play that club, yes. But then it comes to it, and then there's either a soccer tournament or a hockey tournament, or, like I say, a play. So anyway, the fact I was around, I was like, I am not missing 3 performances, and I went to Dramafest on Monday. What an amazing atmosphere. And I will say, it was so awesome how the judges at the end come, and also these kids, they're just amazing. The talent on display. And the fact that they basically get to load... Has anyone been to that black box theatre in Fredericton, in St Thomas's? I haven't spent much time at UMB Fredericton or St Thomas's. I've done a few gigs for Freshers Week. It's not called Freshers Week here, isn't it? What do you call it? Orientation Week? Sexual orientation? I don't know. The first week of September, when the kids start, when the students start, I did keynote. I've done keynotes and stand-up for the new St Thomas's students a couple of times. I haven't done it for maybe 5 years. You should have me back, by the way, if you're listening. I've done the same thing for UMB. I've also done lots of kind of corporate or events at those big Richard Curry Centre and places like that. But did a big gig for 1,000 nurses there once. But I haven't spent much time. So with this black box theatre, it's gorgeous. Little theatre, audience are around. The kids basically have 15 minutes to load in an entire set. And of course, they're the ones performing as well. So they're lugging all this gear in, all the stage sets, all the costumes, throwing the costumes on, and then going out and performing an hour-long show with singing and dancing and stunts and choreography. It's just amazing. And so massive, kudos to... I believe the brains behind this was amazing teacher by the name of Millie O'Brien, who just... blew me away with how the fact that on the first performance, not a single kid was like trying to think of their lines. Like, it was as if they'd performed it like 100 times. And then so by Monday it was phenomenal. And the judges came on at the end. The judges couldn't believe how great it was and offered numerous compliments. And actually, one of the judges did make a very nice compliment for my friend Morgan, who played Sven. Is it Sven? Christoph. Sven. Sven's the radio, Christoph, and kind of commented on how amazing his acting was, which was wonderful. So if you're listening, Christina, kudos. Send my congrats to Morgan. So anyway, what's my point? Yes. So basically, I'm just trying to say, maybe this isn't very funny because I basically am having a bloody great week. Seeing my son perform the play 3 times. Oh, Sunday. Had a nice walk in the Cuplex Trails, then watched Hunter play 2 hockey games. Actually hot-footed it back on Monday to also watch another hockey game. Been doing tons of walks. What else? Oh, I went to Barry and my wonderful in-laws for dinner on Sunday on the peninsula for delicious pasta. What else has been so point being, life is wonderful. On Monday night, we walked down to the Riverside Golf Club and just had there's a delicious, I had a pint of a delicious Moosehead Radler, and have you guys had this a foghorn beer called Winchester, Old Winchester or Winchester? It's the taste of English, a proper old school English pint, like the pint when my dad was drinking like a pint of bitter, they called it pint of bitter. Back in England in a pub. If I had a sip as a child, it was this taste. So my first taste, so it just takes me back, gorgeous, to drinking as a 7-year-old. So we should get to your questions. I said I was going to start with them, and now we're 24 minutes in. Point is, but now of course now I've got this gig this weekend, so now I'm in my usual thing of now it's like basically full on detox time, herbal teas every day, no alcohol for a week, and then the cycle will return. That's it. Oh, just very quickly, gigs coming up. I'm doing a Centre for Youth fundraiser on the 22nd of May at the St John Trader Convention Centre with the New Brunswick, with the St John Youth Orchestra. So please do book tickets. Amazing cause, Centre for Youth, to help youth with housing needs. I've also got a yard sale at my house in a few weeks. When I've got the date, I will confirm. If you're interested in that, message me. I'm also playing Harvey Hall, a matinee show on the 25th of May. It's Harvey Hall. That's Harvey Albert County, not Harvey Fredericton. Can't have half the audience going to Harvey Fredericton like they did last time looking for a Harvey Hall, because it's not there. It's Albert County. If you happen to miss Andre Rieu's 75th birthday extravaganza, it is back at the Cineplex on the 18th of May. I cannot wait. I think I'll be in Toronto that weekend, so I might go and see it again. And Salome, live from the Met, is taking place on the 17th of May. Oh, that's the same day that also Cypress Hill are playing TD Station, Harbour Station in St John. I haven't seen Cypress Hill live since 1993. Most exciting, the Far Side are opening for them. The Far Side were one of my favourite bands as a kid, and but alas, I will be in Toronto that weekend, so we'll miss them. Although I might go and see Catherine Ryan live I found a really nice post by Catherine. Catherine Ryan, amazing Canadian comedian who is huge in England. I found a lovely interview that she had done where someone asked her, where is it? Things to Catherine Ryan. Someone asks her, Dear Catherine, as a fellow Canadian, unfortunately stuck in the US, and an aspiring comedian, writer, producer, I'm just curious, what was it that moved you out to the UK comedy circuit, and is it something you'd recommend at the very least? Trying once, I've got my legs a bit firmer as a comic. Catherine has replied, I didn't want to move to the UK, but came reluctantly with a boyfriend. It's funny how life points you in the right direction. All you have to do is, capital letters, graft wherever you are. My friend James Mullinger has an amazing comedy career in Canada, and he moved there from the UK just a few years ago. Everything is accessible to you if you're willing to get your hands dirty, I think. Which is very nice. Again, wouldn't say I have an amazing career, but I do have a career, which it is, some would say, that is, people that dislike me would say, it's amazing that anyone ever goes to see him, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's amazing to me that I do have any type of career. So, moving on. Oh, last Wednesday, I did an event it was a Trinity Anglican Church fundraiser organised by my friend Jackie Oland, who, it's an annual event she does, and it's a dinner at the Union Club, and I believe the tickets are highly priced. Obviously, it's a fundraiser, but it was myself in conversation on stage with Marshall Button, my friend Marshall Button, based in New Brunswick's biggest ever comedian, and the Archbishop of New Brunswick, David Edwards, the Bishop of Fredericton. What a wonderful man, and what a lovely evening it was. We had a big debate, we had a conversation on stage. The audience could ask questions. David was an incredible MC, host, had wonderful questions. David Goss, it was lovely to see you there, by the way, my friend, and thank you very much for the kind gift of a of your latest magnificent book that I'm very excited to read. And there was an incredible artist there who gifted me myself and Marshall a gorgeous doll of ourselves, which of course I've gifted to my wife to now use as a voodoo doll every time I annoy her. Which that was a joke. And then they gifted Archbishop David. They gifted the Arch. Is that the Archbishop? Yes, they gifted him. They gifted the Archbishop a Wolverhampton Wanderers jersey football shirt. He's support the Wolves, which was an amazing coincidence because my one and only experience of a Premiership football game was the Wolves playing Palace, or Palace won, and that was the time I started to support Palace. Anyway, so it was so much fun. It was just really interesting, and I just thought, wow, I wish I'd recorded it. I wish we'd recorded that debate. The audience had such amazing questions, and Marshall and I kind of shared the intricacies of what it's like doing comedy where we do it. Of course, Marshall's a fascinating character because he obviously created the amazing character Lucien, but he's also just pretty much everything great that's ever happened. Comedically, he is touched in some way. Or the same thing goes for shows. He's obviously one of the, I can't remember his title, but obviously one of the top people at the Capitol Theatre. He obviously co-founded the Hubcap Comedy Festival. He won the Lieutenant Governor's Award earlier this year, which is a phenomenal thing because, as we know, comedians never get recognized by artistic bodies in this province or anywhere else. Comedians often thought of as the kind of the shit on the shoe. So the fact that he has been able to kind of transcend that prejudice is the wrong word to use. Comedian who tells dick jokes complaining that I don't get the recognition I deserve. Prejudice is not the word, but you know what I'm saying. So let's get to your questions. This morning at the gym, I did finish a book I've been reading by Lesley Choyce, who many of you know is one of Nova Scotia, Atlantic Canada's top authors. He's in his 70s. Absolutely incredible writer. He's written over 100 books, can you believe? We did a big feature on him in Edit magazine. One of his former students, I believe it was a former student, Jeremy Hull, interviewed Lesley Choyce. I've just read his book. It's called Around England with a Dog. It is Lesley and his wife travelling around England with a dog, obviously. It's absolutely hilarious. His observations of England are absolutely spot on. So if you ever wanted to or were curious to read my book in reverse, my book is obviously, an Englishman comes to Canada, blah, 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 blah. Leslie's book is a Nova Scotian travelling England, and his observations on the shitty British public are absolutely bang on. And I was laughing out loud reading it on the Skin Machine. Right, let's whiz through the is anyone else watching the fourth season of Hacks? So in the fourth season of Hacks, spoiler alert, the main character, Gene Smart's character, who is obviously a version of Joan Rivers, finally gets a kind of a late night chat show, not chat show, a late night show. There's an episode in it where she is, I just felt like the show generally somewhat feels a fairly realistic depiction of what it is like working in stand-up comedy. Obviously, I'm on the bottom rung of this industry, so I can't really comment to the kind of upper echelons of successful comedy. But the episode that felt like it made no sense, or just felt like it was written by, no offense, a millennial or worse, a Gen Zer, was the episode where old footage of her telling now problematic jokes was created, and she then goes to meet with a load of college students who are protesting about her, and she reluctant, and her slightly annoying writer assistant character forces her to apologize. And I just thought, would Joan Rivers apologize for jokes she told 30-40 years ago? And again, I come back to the same thing about the Tony Hinchcliffes, the Andrew Schultzes, the fact that now we kind of accept it. It's interesting how, I don't know if you want to call it a post-woke world or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to. It does seem like you really can joke about anything and get away with it, whether that's right or wrong. But you really can. Like if Ricky Gervais can win an Emmy and a Golden Globe and break records, and for a show that generally got kind of terrible critic reviews, not that means anything, but basically for an hour of transphobia, it appears that anything goes. Well, similarly to Chappelle. Anyway, all of this is to say, I just started watching Landman as well with Billy Bob Thornton. That is an interesting. Taylor Sheridan, how does someone come up with that many ideas? This is going to sound like sacrilege to a lot of you. I watched the first season of Yellowstone and did not get sucked in. I'm sorry to say. I know statistically, 100% of you definitely love it. But I found Landman. I've got into okay. Let's get to your questions. I've been banging on. Me and Ali Hassan are doing 4 shows at the St. John Theatre Company early next month. And so, by the way, the new issue of the magazine, which we send to the printers tomorrow, is looking, I'm not taking credit for this, phenomenal. Lindsay Vauteur has absolutely knocked it out of the park. Issue 33, and I would say it's the best one yet. I possibly say that every single time. Oh, that was the other thing I did last week. I went to sit in the St. John Library. We're so lucky to have such amazing libraries. I think I mentioned this before, that in England, like, the Conservative government shut a lot of libraries and hospitals, and they weren't fans of people reading, because people who read don't vote for them. Don't vote for them. But so in my mum's small town, for instance, which I guess is population 5,000 people, they only have a library because my mum and her friends created one, like the volunteer-run library, after it was closed by the government. What's my point? Yes, so I sat and wrote a chapter of my book that I've been really struggling with for months, and I finally got it nailed. Sat there for 4 or 5 hours. Actually, a group of kids came in behind me and said, "Is that James Manager?" I said, "Yeah, hi." And they said, "Oh, we're in the St. John High Choir." Anyway, I said, "Thanks for sharing the stage with me." And such beautiful, lovely, polite kids they were. We're so lucky to have these amazing libraries. I was sat at a desk in the library where it overlooks, like, what is going to be the Fundy Quay. Gorgeous view in the harbour passage, and anyway, it's just very inspiring. And I got this chapter now. It's a chapter about a girl that I fell in love with, who I travelled 24 hours across the world to meet her on her birthday, and she dumped me when I arrived. And it is about that. Literally exactly the kind of thing that happens to me. So I've been digging through old diaries and old letters to kind of. I might do a new thing, actually. At these Ali Hassan shows, I've got an idea. I'm going to bring up these old diaries, right, from my childhood, and I'm going to get audience to shout out a date or a year, and I have to read that page no matter what it says. So, for instance, okay, May 6th. Let's go into May 6th. I have not actually tested this yet, so I'm just going to go to this page. May 6th. Okay. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is very good. Great church service. Got given confirmation present from Vicar. Nice guy. 365 daily lights. There you go. That was my diary for this date. Let's see, tomorrow. Feel really sad. I'm crying. 10:05 p.m. Just had an argument with Mum. At the beginning of the holes, I wanted time to go fast so I could get. Okay, that's a bit sad. Okay, anyway, leave it there. Yeah, tell me if you think that's a good idea, to be kind of reading. I'm sorry, I'm just getting hooked. I'm reading this now. What's this? Oh, this school report. Home economics. What year was I in? Oh, first year, age 11. James is a quiet. This is my home economics report by my teacher Elizabeth Ho. That is her name, Ho, by the way. I'm not saying she wasn't. She obviously, her name is Ho. She's not a Ho, though. She's not a Ho. You get the point. James is a quiet, sensitive young man who works quite well in class, but needs to speed up a little. He works well with others and is quietly enthusiastic. He also attends a textiles club. That's true. I was in a textiles club because I know how to party. James's written work lacks detail. Sometimes it indicates a lack of understanding. James has mastered the use of the sewing machine, although he does not find it easy. Quite a good term. High praise indeed. Exam result 53 out of 100. Yeah, I did. Funny that I knew how to use a sewing machine at 11, and I don't now. And I need to. Anyway, okay. Your questions. Fuck, Jesus Christ, 40 minutes in. Lisa Lowry, well, lovely. Lisa, my dear friend Shelby's mum. Question for your podcast. I listen every week. Thanks, Lisa. I love you. How are things in beautiful Waterford? I hope I get to come out to your beautiful cottage home oasis. I believe it is your home now. You live there, don't you, in Waterford? There was so much fun that time I came right before doing a gig at the All Seasons. Can you look into booking the comedy cruise they did for the first time in Shediac last summer? We had such a great time when they did it there. Yes, I need to do that. I think Julian Dion and Jen Grant did it last year. I will find out. If anyone listening knows anyone involved, actually, there's a big feature on Shediac in the next issue of the magazine. If anyone knows who books the comedy cruise in Shediac, please put them in touch with me because I would love to do it. And I don't have any other Shediac tour dates this year, so it wouldn't interrupt with that. Although if you are listening and you organise the Lobster Festival, as per my message last year, I would love to do it. Author Andrew Butters says, roast me, James. Oh, Andrew, thank you. So this is what I was going to say, was after going to the library, I finally made it to the Write Cup Cafe. It's the Write Cup Bookstore and Cafe in Market Square. Oh my goodness. It obviously sounded great. It kind of looked great. The concept sounded wonderful. I'd heard wonderful things from Andrew. Nothing prepared me for how big the Write Cup is, B, how many hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands, of books they have available for sale. It's basically a full-blown bookstore, which I know, but I wasn't expecting so many. All New Brunswick authors. The place is massive. The flat whites are delicious. They've got so many different treats, including incredible gluten-free options. I got the gluten-free chocolate torte. Blown away. I met Tristan, the general manager. I did not know that it was this is the brainchild of the amazing people from Partridge Island Publishing, who many of you will know have had a container at the Container Village selling New Brunswick authors. I've got her card here. I need to write to her. This is Shannon Dickens. Is, I believe, the maestro behind this. Again, deserves a knighthood, a sainthood, a damehood, whatever you call it. Deserves a Lieutenant Governor's Award, frankly, for services to New Brunswick authors. I've got their cards in front of me right now because I need to write to them about doing a feature in the magazine. The fall issue of the Mailto, I can reveal, is going to be an arts and culture special issue. Every issue now is going to be themed. The summer issue was the travel issue. The arts and culture issue, we're going to do a feature on what is unquestionably the best new bookstore and cafe in New Brunswick. Anyway, and so Andrew, thank you for that. That was funny, Andrew, when I was doing Andrew's podcast, and he asked, time was getting on. We'd gone over an hour. Hard to imagine me babbling on for an hour, isn't it? And he asked me if I had any questions for him. And yes, my question was how much longer, because I needed to go and pick up my son. I can't roast you, Andrew. That was the closest I get to roasting you, was you were saying, do I have any questions? And me saying how much longer. It's not how I roll. My son, as we know, roasts me brilliantly. I think I'm going to be telling that story on the Mary Berg show next month. A lovely Lisa Wilby. Lisa, it was lovely to see you in Olmukto this week. Thank you for the delicious egg bites. Is red pepper hummus really hummus? No, so I call it that. It is a dip, you're right. Red pepper hummus is a dip. Why do they call it red pepper hummus? I guess because if they call it red dip, it's to make it sound healthy, I think. I forgot to buy the hummus earlier. Sorry. Charlotte Flewelling. God bless you, Charlotte. I hope you're having fun in Gramanan. Thank you for all your videos and posts. If I had one last place to visit before I became unable to travel, where would you go? So I guess you're saying, Charlotte, if it was February 2020, where would be the one last place I'd visit before you were unable to travel? Probably Blackpool. And that's where I'm going in a couple of weeks. Chelsea Thoreau. Are hot dog sandwiches? Absolutely not. Hot dogs are hot dogs. And interesting, although, a hot dog is like not a Frankfurter, what do you call it here? Like a dog, like the kind of the weird kind of, what do you call them? Not Frankfurters, they're called, whatever those, do you call a hot dog when it's like a sausage in a bun, i.e. not one of them hot dogs, a sausage in a bun? Could that be a sandwich? I don't know. Liam Patrick McNamara. Thank you very much, my friend. Could you go a little, this is his question. Could you go a little inside baseball on the topic of hosting a comedy show? What to you makes a good host? What drives you crazy about things other hosts do? Host etiquette. Okay. What makes a good host? Okay. Obviously, an amazing host in stand-up is the one that gets the room set up and primed for you. Now, I've been very lucky to do gigs with like Michael McIntyre hosting. Obviously, McIntyre is the king, but that was a nightmare because he just would rip the absolute roof off, making it impossible for every act. Which he was obviously doing this deliberately in the right best possible way because he wanted to get ahead. I remember McIntyre telling me once how he never understood when he would turn up at comedy clubs and the acts would go, you know, what are they like about the audience? And he'd be like, well, never mind what they're like. What are you like? And he always made it his mission to be the best on the night. And of course, that sounds ruthless, but if you are doing it solely through the medium of laughter and just being great, that's fine. What is not fine is what Peter Kay used to do, which was to be the best. He would make it hard for the acts by he would jam the mic into the mic stand. So when the act came out, they were fumbling with it and they were thrown. So there are comics that try and make it hard for you. There's also some MCs who I know who will kind of at their gigs, they will like hit. It can be quite hard if you're in a place. This is something I've seen happen, where if you're in a place that's not where you're from, and the MC does a ton of like really really local stuff before bringing you up, that can be quite jarring in the kind of local stuff that I do, where it's like you're very specific to that town or that place, and then they bring you up, and if they're introducing an act who's not from here, like they're coming from Toronto, that's quite unfair, I would say, on the act, because they're not going to be able to match that level of insiderness. Anyway, so what makes a good host? A great host is someone that sets up the room. Sean Collins is someone who was emceeing the last time I was at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa, and again, just phenomenal. A good host also does talk to the audience. Although that said, I don't have a problem with an MC just going up and doing their act. Although I feel like a bit of crowd work is good. If they do no crowd work, then it means that I have to go up and start doing some. And also, nothing sets it up better for me. If I'm headlining, I always watch the whole show. Obviously, for me, my favorite thing to do when I walk out on stage is if the MC has done a lot of crowd work and he's found out what the front. John and Jake, who work at Halifax Live, are great MCs in that they talk to the crowd, they find out what the front row do, they do some funny stuff. So it means when I walk out, I can already make reference to certain people. I make a note of the front row's names, what they do, what's been talked about, and I go out and I do callbacks to it. So that is a real gift when an MC does that. They've gone out, they've found out who's celebrating what, and it means that when I'm out on the stage, I can be like, "Oh, happy birthday, happy anniversary," and then during my act, I can do callbacks to things that have been talked about earlier. So, things that other hosts do. I mean, obviously, you know, getting your name wrong is an annoying thing that has happened to me. It's also annoying when give it some real hype. Like I mean, well, I did I'm not going to name the club, but it was a club in Ontario, and annoyingly, the club had booked. I had a lot of people come in to see me, and there was 2, in some cases 3 shows a night, and they booked an MC who was basically bombing, but just kept bombing, wouldn't get off. And as you know, Milton Jones's wonderful rule of comedy is: if it's going great, get off. If it's going badly, get off. Now, what this MC did, he would go up and do his 10-15, but then because he hadn't got a laugh, he would keep going trying to get a laugh, and it wouldn't happen, and then be mad. So then, kind of bring me up in an annoyed way and not really give it any oomph. And then. But what the club also did was booked someone who had told me that they had never done more than a 5-minute set, and the club had booked them to do 25. So basically, between the MC bombing and then them doing their very first 25-minute set, having only ever done 5s or 10s, maybe 10s they'd done before, I basically didn't get up on stage. Shows that I had been on TV promoting for this club. I then got on stage an hour plus into the show. The show also did start late because the venue said they hadn't sold enough nachos or wings or something. So they were going to do a quiz. So they went up on the club owner went up to do a Seinfeld quiz on stage, which is not a given that the audience all know Seinfeld, and they didn't because a lot of them were young. So no one wanted. So the show started late. So long story short, I've promoted the show to death as people travelled some distance in some cases to see me. Some people weren't there to see me. They were just coming because it was the club. But some people had travelled an hour or two to this show. And I basically had to cut my set down to about 30 minutes because we needed to finish up to get to the next show. So the show starts late and they have an hour of people bombing. And then I can only do 30 minutes before I'm being red lit to get off stage because the next audience is arriving. I mean, so I'm overrunning. The best, what I love to do when I'm hosting is just set it up best possible way, follow a brief. Again, this is hosting and opening. I opened for Alex McKenzie, asked me to open for him for his stand-up special. I just wanted him to have the best possible gig, so I went out. He's clean, does clean comedy, so I did half an hour of clean, kept to time, didn't overrun, and just set up the room in a way that he was able to walk out and just hit the ground running. Similarly, did the same thing for Sugar Sammy at the Spat Stage in Halifax a few weeks back. He isn't clean, but he builds up to it. So he wanted me to do clean. I did clean, kept to time. He was going to open with a joke about, I can't remember what it was, Trump or something. So asked me to kind of, not trample on that. Yeah. So that's any host moves. I mean, the best thing you can do is that even if it's not going well, also don't do too little time, because this is the other thing. I've had this before where I had someone emceeing for me at a place. The crowd was drunk and I was doing an hour. The MC went out. He wasn't doing well. He was struggling. Didn't like the fact that some of the audience, I didn't like it either, but some of the audience were drunk and heckly. He panicked and decided to leave the stage and bring me up. He was supposed to be doing 25. It was like minute 17. So I was gearing up for my pre-show wee. Like, you time it perfectly. So you've drunk all this water before the show and you've got to go and do your wee. So I generally have my pee around 17, 18 minutes into the opener's thing so that my bladder's fully empty when I go on the stage. And as I'm walking towards the washroom from the main room of the gig, I hear him panic and just start to bring me up. So I have to go up on stage for an hour with a full bladder. That's stick to the time. Always stick to the exact time that you've been asked to do. And if you're emceeing, do your greatest hits. Don't test something new. Don't test a new joke. Go up there, do your best material. And if it's not going well, just make sure you give the act the biggest possible intro. Don't just kind of mutter it. Okay, and here it is, some for your headliner. Unless that's your style, like Anthony Jeselnik or Stephen Wright. That's how they're going to do it. Of course, rare that they're going to be emceeing for me, obviously. Just give an enthusiastic intro. And if you don't know anything about the act, you can't remember, just throw some generic things about. He's traveling. He, she, they're traveling across the world. They're one of the best comedians, blah, 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 but just so you walk onto the stage to a nice welcome. That's it. I heard that Seinfeld. This is following on from Liam's question. I heard that Seinfeld has been known to yell at his openers, not to praise him during the intro. He says it puts pressure on the comedian, and some audiences can become colder if they promise something extraordinary. That is true. Adam Bloom once did that to me, not in a mean way, but he asked me to not do any credits and all that stuff, and then I said, okay, it's time for the next act. You're going to absolutely love him. And he was livid with me because he was like, now they're thinking, well, we're not going to love him. English audiences are kind of like that. Adam Bloom, incidentally, is opening for Russell Peters on his arena tour of the UK. I mean, Seinfeld, I guess Seinfeld doesn't need it, though. Seinfeld doesn't need the praise. So, yes, Seinfeld doesn't want... I think Louis C.K. says the same thing. You don't want it too much, but you want a bit, I guess is the point. So when Lim's question continues, so when bringing a comedian up, do you prefer a short and sweet intro or something more grand? Like accomplishments and grades. I like something short and sweet. So it's literally like, ladies and gentlemen, it's headline time, are you ready? I like it, people to set up. If you've asked the comedian what you want said, try and remember it and do it would be another piece of advice. Like, I like the comedian say he left London, England 10 years ago, now makes his home in Atlantic Canada. Please put your hands together. I like if they get that right, because then I don't have to come up and go, hello, I'm an Englishman, I moved. It's like they know what the shtick's going to be. You might have seen him, but I don't need all the credit. Because again, I mean, the other thing is, it's like, he's done your jokes, he's done Just for Laughs. I mean, it's every comedian in the country. So, doesn't mean anything. Okay. So, I hope that answers your question, mate. And anything I can help with any time, Liam, please don't hesitate to ask. Message me, or I can either do it on here or privately, whatever works, my friend. Here to help. And thank you for asking. It goes to show, I'm sure you're an amazing MC, because if you're even thinking about these things and asking these questions, and you clearly care, and really caring and being a nice person is really what it takes in this business. Sarah, to you. Sarah says, here's a topic, so hear me out. I'm not trying to be a bummer here, but I was enjoying the 6 feet rule during COVID. I've run into situations in the past few weeks while standing in line, and people standing so close that you can feel them breathing on you, and as you inch a little away, they follow as they think the line has moved. No, it's just me trying to get some breathing space. Can we get the lines back? Okay, everyone hates me now, lol. Sarah, you're bang on. I had a joke about this, about the fact that I liked the fact that suddenly there was that 5 meter rule where it's like in the Walmart lineup, someone's behind you in their pajamas that, and then they're breathing down your neck. And before COVID, if you said, excuse me, I'd like 5 meters, please, everyone thought you were a jerk. But now you're saving the world. And then, and suddenly it's back. Yeah. I mean, bring back the distancing. I mean, people shouldn't be breathing down the neck. There was positives of COVID. I miss other things about COVID. I'll be honest with you, Sarah. I mean, all day drinking was great fun. It was one of the most creative times of my life. Like, those virtual gigs and drive-in shows was such a... And I finished my book thanks to the COVIDs. Basically, everyone take a step back. If you're in, don't breathe all over Sarah. Don't breathe all over anyone. Let's keep our distances. It's why we live in Atlantic Canada. It's not so full. In England, you don't have a choice. If you're on a tube train or a bus, you're crammed in. You don't have a choice. But here, we've got a choice. Just get the hell back, everyone. Shelley Abernethy. Shelley, thank you very much. This is her question. Potholes, bridge work, Rossay Avenue's reason for having 2 traffic lights so close to one another, same as Westmoreland Road. Sims Corner confusion, the ship that's been at Long Wharf for a long while. In retrospect, maybe these are just questions I'd like answers to as a new St. Johnner. Welcome, Shelley. When did you move here? I'm glad I saw your post. As I had no idea you have a podcast. Just added you. Am I the only one that with every red wall fire alarm I see, I want to pull the lever? Oh my God, that's weird. Am I the only one that with every red wall fire alarm I see, I want to pull the lever, or lever as we call it in England? Never did and never will, but it mocks me every time I see one. How mad is that Shelley asked a question about a red wall fire alarm and she wants to pull the lever or press the button, and I just earlier talked about doing that as a child. The Sims Corner thing is insane. That is, I've never understood, and it's so weird, that thing about how you can't turn certain ways, so you come down and then everyone's going through the Tim Hortons / Wendy's parking lot to do a whiz around. And Sims Corner has been a disaster. Is there more accidents at Sims Corner than any other junction anywhere in the world? It's not even a junction. What is it? It's a war zone, is what Sims Corner is. The potholes are insane. There is no excuse for the potholes, especially in school parking lots, or like, what is with the potholes in East Point shopping? We're all spending a lot of money there. Let's fill the holes in. Because someone, it must have. Tyler Warren Ellis and I once did videos for CAA about the potholes, the worst roads in Canada, or worst roads in Canada thing. And we were driving around all the worst roads, and by sense of bitter irony blew a wheel off in a pothole while making a video about how bad the potholes are. Shelley, let us know, when did you move here? How long have you been in St. John? What brought you here? And yeah, I'm sorry for the mad traffic. The Rossi Avenue right now by the French's, what's it called? Is it French's? French fries? French's fish and chip shop? That is a nightmare. Heidi White did ask this. You obviously didn't listen to last week's podcast, Heidi. Very naughty of you, because I did answer this question last week. How long would I last in a zombie apocalypse? And I believe I answered it last week, so I'm not going to say it again. That's it. I will. I'm just joking. A long time, because I'm such a scaredy cat, was the answer. Although if you would like further detail, it is in last week's podcast. My lovely friend Daphne Enns, who it was great to see you at the Y the other week, Daphne. And thank you for your lovely message, by the way. Daphne kind of commented on something which I was panicking, I think, last week about whether my St. John High show, I'm always debating, like, should I work clean? Like, Nate Bargatze, who I just read, Nate Bargatze outsold Gaffigan, Maniscalco, and Seinfeld combined last year. So I'm always worried about whether I go too far on stage. Not that I go too far, but if the dirty stuff is... Anyway, Daphne and her son came to the show and enjoyed the dirty stuff. Not the dirty, no, it's not dirty, the raunchier stuff. So thank you for putting my mind at rest. Daphne has sent a message. When you're recording an episode of your podcast, are you imagining a conversation between yourself and a specific person or people? If you are, how frequently does that sense of who you're chatting with shift during an episode? And are you imagining these conversations happening in specific places? Good question. I'm kind of quite present. Like, I'm aware that I'm sitting at my desk with my microphone sitting on the World Needs More Canada book that Indigo did a few years ago. I have 2 pillows around me. I'm above my desk. I have a painting that Lily McNulty did for me. And I also have a picture now of the stained glass window from the Trinity Church in Uptown St. John. I have some Care Bears that Heidi gave me. I'm kind of picturing specific people normally when I'm talking about this. Like, I would say you, Daphne, Heidi White, Julie. Oh, by the way, Julie and her team at the Cineplex won Best Team at the Cineplex Awards recently, which if you go to that cinema on the regular, you will know why. Julie, Colin, everyone at Cineplex St. John, God bless you. I love you. Thank you for, a decade of entertainment, although more, because I've been going there for longer. How long have you been there, Julie? Julie's one of these people who posts a lot about joy and happiness, but brings a lot of joy. And it's funny how she lives for the pursuit of joy, but also seemingly lives to gift joy. And anyway, so I picture the people that I know listen on the regular. So Daphne, Trudy Vauteur, you, Daphne, Heidi, who else listens on the regular? Andrew Butters, Caitlin Dean, Charlotte Flewelling, now I know Lisa Lowry listens. So I kind of picturing all of you listening to this. And sometimes when I stumble and mumble and go back on myself, it's me thinking, am I boring them? Lady Catherine is my one of 2 American listeners I know of. There's my friend Nick, who lives in LA, also listens. But Lady Catherine St. Pierre, she's as regal as she sounds. Be careful on the pickleball courts, by the way, Catherine. A dear friend of mine just tore their Achilles doing pickleball, and I understand it's a very common thing to happen. It's because of the certain moves that one makes playing the pickleball. So be careful in Florida. Well, be careful. Be careful. So I picture all of you is the point. I hope that answers your question, but I'm definitely present in this place, although obviously my mind flies all over the place. And it's definitely a respite for me doing this. I find it hugely cathartic. Because I don't take the ADHD meds, my brain is obviously flying around all the time. And the only time it's not flying around is when I'm either immersed in something, which is quite hard to get me engrossed in something, either a film or a TV show or a book. I'm often distracted, but on stage and doing this podcast is the time my mind is at rest. So thank you, Matthew Vauteur. Hello, Matthew. It will, mate. How about the huge news that the show that was filmed here in the city and outskirts, i.e. St. John, Revival, is debuting on Sci-Fi and Crave TV next month. It was a massive project that brought up a lot of attention to the city. Yes, I've seen the trailer. It looks phenomenal. I know lots of people in it. I say lots. I know two great people. Jimmy McKinley is in it, has a big part in it. Jimmy, one of my, favorite comedians to watch, to work with, making a phenomenal career for himself now on numerous TV shows. Was an aspiring actor for a long time and now is just knocking it out of the park. Massive parts in, I believe one of his earliest parts was playing a character called Dickhead in Trailer Park Boys. But now he's like absolutely rocking it. And has a huge part in Revival, which is based obviously on the graphic novel Revival. It was filmed here. Hemmings House made this happen, I believe, and brought it to the city and made it happen here. And I can't wait to watch the show. And I love, obviously, zombies. I love TV shows based on graphic novels. I love everything on the Sci-Fi Channel. But to be able to watch it, knowing that there's locations, I believe I'm right in saying this. This is what I've read online. There's St. John, Rothesay, Sussex, Hampton. My friend Matt Keenan worked on it. My friend Jeff Liberty worked on it. Matthew, did you work on it? Tons of people did. And I believe there's tons of Nikki Payne's in it as well. And who else was in it on it? Ariel Morrison. So Ariel and I are in a sitcom that's coming out later this year on the Trailer Park Boys network called I can say this. The working title is Open Micers. It was essentially a vehicle for the Halifax comedian Robbie Vino, great comedian, great friend of mine, also one of the owners of Halifax Live, along with Jake and John and Jake Hirsch out west. Jake Hirsch, that is one gig I am doing out west, is the Cochrane Comedy Festival in Alberta in October, November. I mentioned earlier that I'm trying to avoid road work, but that is one that I'm doing. So check out the trailer for Revival. Proper, big budget TV show, filmed in St. John, providing work for millions of St. Johners, not just St. John and New Brunswick actors, but people, everything from catering to, just amazing thing. Like, it's amazing. It would be amazing even if the show didn't look as amazing as it does. So the fact that this is going to be, it's an epic show and it's done amazing things for this city and this province and creatives within it, thus making this a viable place to live and work as an actor or indeed a behind the scenes expert. Beautiful. Check it out. Charmaine Cap, poutine or donair? Donair all the way. Also, because it is possible to have a healthy donair, it is not always possible. Caitlin Dean is another person I picture when I'm. Did I say that already when I'm recording this? Stephanie Craig. It's Lyme disease month as well as mental health and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Help me and Lyme MB spread awareness. Great idea. I don't read these questions in advance. I don't know enough about this. So let's all agree right now, courtesy of Stephanie Craig, let's Google Lyme disease month. Lyme disease, my dog had Lyme disease and it was terrible. I'm guessing this is a different Lyme disease, or is it the same Lyme disease? Mental health and I don't know what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is. So, okay, I'm going to come back to this next week. I will help you spread the word. Please, let's do Stephanie a service and Google this, and I will also be Googling it and posting about it, Stephanie. Thank you. Message me. My personal email is jamesmanager@gmail.com. Debbie Atkinson, Skip or DoorDash? Very new to St. John, trying to figure out recycling in the Maritimes. Apparently once a month, so you can roadside your fridge stove, whatever. Okay, welcome to St. John, Debbie. When did you move here? Where did you move from? Message me, jamesmanager@gmail.com. I use Skip the Dishes at home, primarily just for Sushi Blossom in Rothesay, Crisphampsis, no one knows which. Could be on the border. My friend Jenny owns it. I love salmon sashimi. They do a great salmon. They do a great salmon kind of special where it's like a bit of sashimi, some rolls, some nigiri, and a sushi. Salad's absolutely delicious. So I that's my treat. When I go on the road and I come back, when I've been away working, basically the week of a show, I kind of live so clean. It's kind of essentially detox week. And then like this week's going to be big gig Friday, so it's clean. And then when I get back Saturday, drop off the rental car, I'll come home and order sushi, and then have like a beer from Hampton Brewing Company, Long Bay, and maybe a bottle of wine. So anyway, but I do use DoorDash when I'm in other cities where, depending on what is there, and I've also used it for McDonald's and stuff. And so anyway, but which is Canadian? Are they both Canadian, Skip or DoorDash? I think Skip is Canadian. Well, insane that you can order food and see where it's coming, but you can't do the same with taxis. Recycling is twice a month. It's every 2 weeks. So if you need help with this, email me, Debbie. Let me know where in St. John you live, because I do actually have the load down on recycling. I've been to the recycle plant, and I'm a big fan of garbage collectors. So I do have the lowdown. I'm happy to help. But there is a thing called Spring Clean where you can get rid of your... I don't know about the fridge and the stove and stuff. That's once a year. I don't think it's every month. Valerie, but it messaged me. I'm happy to help. Valerie Dingy, welcoming visiting Americans. Yes, welcome visiting Americans. Americans, come to New Brunswick. It's a great place to visit. If you're looking for the best places to visit in Atlantic Canada this summer, may I recommend a magazine called The Maritime Edit, maritimeedit.com. I've been hearing from people in the liquor stores. There is lots of Americans coming here. And welcome, and I'm sorry for what you're all going through over there, but please know you have Canadians love you, and come, and every time you meet an American, give them a hug, because it's not easy where they are right now. TJ Hansen's asking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Very exciting, loving it. Very sad about the Montreal Canadiens, I have to say, although I will... my son supports the Maple Leafs, and we will be in Toronto next weekend, where I believe they're playing the Florida Panthers on the Sunday night. Obviously won't be going to the games because we're not bloody millionaires, which is the messed up thing about the sports and events in this country, and indeed every country, that literally only the rich can attend sporting events, or big sporting events. We will, though, because we're there watching outside the arena, which is probably going to be more fun. I believe outside the Rogers Centre, there's like a massive screen. Everyone watches it there, and that's going to be way more fun, I bet. And you don't have to pay a fortune for booze and hot dogs, because you can bring them in your pockets. Faye Ekstrom. Faye, thank you very much. How do I pronounce your surname correctly, Faye? Is it Ekstrom or Ekstrom? Well, James, all these comments, I can just see the hamster wheel spinning. Okay, thank you. Yeah, hamster wheel. Hamster. My son got a hamster once. Arnlena was her name. We thought it was going to be a boy. He was going to be called Arnold. Him and his friend Libby both had hamsters. It was a beautiful time. I miss Arnlena. She has a grave behind my house. And interestingly, the cross that we built for the grave has survived numerous winters. If you are thinking of getting a hamster, anyone, I highly recommend it. It was beautiful, although be careful, they do try and escape. And finally, my beloved aunt and godmother, Teresa Plaszyska. And thank you. It's so nice. I was so happy we're now connected on WhatsApp, so I can send you videos of the kids doing stuff. Miss you, Auntie T. Auntie Teresa, interestingly, is the one who basically, when I was a kid, took me to a trauma. When trauma came to the UK, she took me to HMV on Leicester on Tottenham Court Road, and I met all the Trauma people, and it was through that I then got to... Trauma is the film company that make Toxic Avengers, Surf Nazis Must Die, Nymphoid Barbarian and Dinosaur Hell, Chopper Chicks and Zombie Town, all the greats. And through that, I ended up meeting Lloyd Kaufman. Thanks to that, she did so many things for me as a child, many of which actually will be covered in my next book. She was there for me. She was the youngest of my mum's siblings, who were somewhat close in age. And we used to watch inappropriate things like Roy Chubby Brown videos together. And she showed me all the great movies that I know. Anyway, lots of stories about my lovely Auntie Teresa will be in the next book. Her comment says, Dogs versus Cats, Tabby, Meryl Streep, Mary, and Snark versus Charlie in our youth. Yes, I had a cat that I called Meryl Streep, which we called Mary for short. She was actually Tabitha Twitchett was our first cat, And I remember the day she died, and my mum telling me that, and we sat and cried for hours. And in my Hampton Brewing Company gig last week, there was a girl in the audience called Tabitha, and I said, "Oh, Tabitha, my cat was called Tabitha Twitchit," which then I was then joking that would be a good porn name, at which point the husband reveals that that's such a bizarre coincidence because she calls her vagina Twitchit. Anyway, wasn't that funny? Interesting. Dogs versus cats. Well, as you know, Auntie T, it was cats growing up, but now with Willow, it's all about dogs. As a cat owner myself, within 24 hours of having a dog in my household, I was wondering, what are cats for? How has Willow transformed your life and family? Your beloved Auntie T and Willow's elder great Auntie Daisy would love a mention. Well, listen, Auntie T, love you, miss you. Can't wait to see you next time, unless you want to come and see Chubby Brown in Blackpool. Willow's elder great Auntie Daisy. Well, listen, all love to Daisy from Willow, and yeah, I mean, cats. As I say, like dogs love you instantly. Cats. I had Mary was obviously my pride and joy, and then I had Molly, which is a cat that Pam got me when we got married, and she hated people. Willow just follows me around, follows us around the house, just wants to cuddle constantly. This might be the longest episode ever. I'm going to leave with some, thank you, Auntie T, love you. Much love to Daisy from Willow. Yeah, Willow's just the greatest thing in the world. And dogs are the greatest. Just, that's another way I'm able to, with the ADHD brain flying around, I'm able to sit and do things with Willow on my lap, because it makes me, I feel like I'm doing something, because I'm spending quality time with the dog. Okay, here are some quotes that my friend Chris Hatt shared with me. Here we go. Some inspirational things. You're so focused on the future that you don't realize today was what you prayed for years ago. Enjoy your day. So true. It reminds me of that quote about the fact that, in years to come, you would kill for it to be today. So enjoy today now. Arnold Schwarzenegger, his rules on complaining: no complaining about a situation unless you're prepared to do something to make it better. If you see a problem and you don't come to the table with a potential solution, I don't want to hear your whining about how bad it is. It couldn't be that bad if it hasn't motivated you to try and fix it. Fair point. My boss, Dylan Jones at GQ, the editor of GQ, who had the great philosophy, big smile, short memory, had that policy. You were not allowed to come to him with a problem unless you had the solution too. And I've lived by that ever since. Here's another quote. I'll tell you who it's by at the end. Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you. And I absolutely live by that. I am definitely happy when I'm doing good things for other people. That was Pope Francis. Success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. That is the other Pope, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Nobody will remember your salary, how busy you were, how many hours you worked, or how many Gucci bags you owned. People will remember how you made them feel, the time you spent with them, if you kept your word, and if they could count on you. So true. And finally, you must develop the ability to be disliked in order to free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. That is true. I mean, we don't want to be disliked by everyone, but it's definitely worthwhile realizing that you cannot change how someone thinks about you. So if someone is on the Facebooks saying that you're the unfunniest, stupidest, Britishest comedian ever, you can't change that opinion, and thinking about it's not going to, and yes, even if you wake up at 3 a.m. and the voice in your head starts echoing shitty things that people have said to you, if you are that type of person, what's my point? I've gone. Okay, I better go. Hour and 20 minutes, way too long for a podcast. Oh, congratulations to Kendrick Lamar, who had the highest grossing concert in a single night by a black man in history, $11.8 million. That's amazing. And I saw Ricky Gervais post today how he posted a picture of his Guinness World Record of highest grossing comedy show ever at the Hollywood Bowl. He was posting he's going back there. So Kendrick Lamar, respect. Ricky Gervais seems an odd thing to post, to win a Guinness Book of World Records for charging your fans the most amount of money. I would like the Guinness Book of World Records for doing the cheapest gigs for the least amount of money, just to bring joy to people. That's it. If they don't do Guinness Book of Records for that, screw you, Guinness Book of Records, celebrating. No, I say that, a lot of the records in there are lovely things, and my friend Roger LeBlanc actually has lots of them. Anyway, thanks very much for listening, everyone. This has been Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. My goodness, has it been a ramble, an hour and 20 minutes, and I could keep going. Look at me, I'm having to talk fast just to try and wrap it up. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week, obviously. Send me any messages, jamesmullinger@gmail.com. It's my personal email. Get in touch. Thanks very much. Love you, and goodbye.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.